Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Trucking with Bones and the Paperwork Princess, along with Harley and Doggo, where we talk about everything from car hauling to life on the road, from cranky brokers to entitled customers. Thank you for joining us on this journey we call life. All right, here we go. Hello, drivers and dreamers. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about an issue we just dealt with one of the companies that we dispatch for. As you guys know by now, if you've been following this channel, my company provides a dispatch service for small trucking companies in the auto transportation industry. And in this industry, there's so many small things to learn that when you're first getting into the business, hiring a dispatch service that knows the ins and outs, that understands how the industry works, can be invaluable. It can save you far more than it cost you, as well as a good dispatcher will make you more than they cost you. So, we dispatched a small truck, F350, actually in this case I believe it was an F450 and a wedge trailer, to pick up a truck in Scottsdale, Arizona, coming up to Aurora, Colorado. And anybody that's been in the auto transportation industry knows that Central Dispatch is like the Walmart for shopping. It's the largest load board in the industry that provides a platform for brokers to advertise the loads they have available. So the dispatcher found I believe it was a 2500 Ford 2017 model, listed on Central. Contacted the broker. This was one of those text-only brokers, which is, in my opinion, a little bit unprofessional. If a broker is not professional enough to provide a phone service, then they're probably one of the kitchen table laptop brokers, which doesn't mean they don't always do a good job. It just means they're one of the little fish in the pond. Let's just put it that way. And maybe they'll grow into a big fish, but there are challenges dealing with brokers like that. So the challenge that we ran into on this one was the driver was sent to pick up this F250 2017 model and was given very specific information: 6-inch lift and 37-inch tires. Okay, so that's pretty specific. And an address. Now, this information was sent via text. It was not dispatched through Central. That's not necessarily a red flag, because a lot of brokers don't do Central as far as their assigning their vehicles. They'll only use it as an advertising platform. And it's a way of saving money. So the broker texts the information to the dispatcher, who then relayed it to the driver. The driver pulls in to the dealership, goes in, finds the salesman, said, "I'm here to pick up the 2017 Ford with a 6-inch lift and 37-inch tires." The dealer that he was speaking with said, "Oh, sure, here's the keys," and showed him where the vehicle was. So the driver goes out, does his inspection, gets his bill of lading, loads the vehicle, and it was already listed as going to Aurora, Colorado on Central Dispatch. Now, the driver had not yet received an actual address for delivery, which, if you've been in the business for a while, you know that on a longer transport, occasionally it might be a day or so into the transport before you get an exact address for delivery. It's better to have all the information up front, but sometimes in order to get the truck loaded, you deal with, like I said, these less than professional brokers who don't list their vehicles on Central as far as assigning them to you, so you don't get the opportunity to visually see all the blanks. You may not realize, oh, I'm missing a little information. and you just assume that the broker is going to be professional enough to provide you with that information within a reasonable amount of time once you've begun the transport. So the driver loaded the vehicle, and before arriving in Aurora, Colorado, was notified that the vehicle was supposed to have gone to a town near Provo, Utah, which ended up being about 498 miles from Aurora. So the challenge now becomes, how do you resolve this situation? Broker became very unprofessional, began using profanity, began threatening the driver with a stolen vehicle report. We maintained professional communication. We made sure to let the broker know that we understood it was an honest mistake, that we would do what we could to help the broker resolve the issue. Namely, we offered to transport the vehicle the rest of the way over to Utah, even though we already had a load booked going east. We offered to spend an extra couple days because the driver would have to go up to Cheyenne, Wyoming, and go west on 80. He didn't have tire chains, and this time of year, tire chains are required to be on the vehicle, available in case it's needed. We gave the broker a price as though there would be no other vehicles available to transport, which means all miles driven, basically 1,000 miles. And the broker was not happy about it. But we even said, look, if you can provide us with another vehicle, either direction, that we'll deduct whatever the value of that vehicle is from the total amount that we quoted to do the transport. We even said that we will even look on Central and see if we can find anything. Doing everything we can to make sure the driver's not losing money and make sure that the vehicle gets delivered to the correct customer. The driver even found a local transport company that was willing to do the transport at a very reasonable amount of money from Aurora, Colorado over to this town near Provo, Utah. And the broker began threatening us with having the Colorado DOT come out and cause problems, saying that they knew the chief of the Colorado Department of Transportation, Highway Patrol actually. And then they included a phone number in a group text message of someone who was pretending to be this chief. The problem was they were so stupid that they didn't think we would realize the number of this supposed chief was an Arizona phone number. So, yeah, kind of stupid, right? Well, turns out, as we actually spoke with the Colorado chief of the Highway Patrol, he became rather interested in who was impersonating him. Bottom line is, we were able to resolve the situation where our driver was paid in cash before unloading this truck, and we got in writing where we were authorized to unload the truck. Now, we did lose some time. We could have really played hardball and demanded detention time, but because we realized it was an honest mistake, we had customers waiting, we felt it was best to get paid for the transport because it was listed as a Arizona to Colorado trip. The driver did what he was supposed to do, and it ended up working out okay for the driver. And we were even able to assist with getting the vehicle headed in the right direction so it was delivered to the correct customer. The point that I'm trying to make and telling you about this story is there was a whole lot more details that went into the negotiating to get all that done. Some trade secrets, if you will, but nothing rocket science level. It's just a basic understanding of what your legal rights are, what you can and can't do. The broker wanted to avoid additional storage fees because we could have legally placed that vehicle in storage at the broker's or shipper's cost to pay the storage and additional transport. When you first get into the business, there's so many little things that if you don't know the answers to them, they can cost you really big. A lot of people would have been terrified of that threat of getting charged with a stolen vehicle. Even though we had a bill of lading and all of the text messages, which would have totally cleared us, we had legal possession of that vehicle. And until it has been paid for, because it was listed as a COD. Actually, this one was listed as a COP, which is a charge on pickup or cash on pickup. But the person who handled the checks wasn't available when the truck was picked up, so we'd had it switched around to where it was going to be a quick pay. But once the situation developed to where it was at, we backed up and said, no, the truck is not coming off this trailer until the driver has received payment in full and in a method that it cannot be retracted later. So no credit card. It ended up being a Walmart to Walmart cash transfer, which works really well. It's really quick, it's easy, and there's no way for them to recover those funds from the driver who had done his job. Now, you could critique this and say, well, you should have demanded the address before you shipped, before you transported. That's true, we could have. However, like I said before, anybody that's in this business knows that it just doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes there's not even an address available yet. The customer's still trying to obtain an accurate address. They know the city, and that's all you really need when you start the transport. And they tell you they'll get the address to you later, which is what happened in this case. Now, the one thing that we could have done is we could have demanded a VIN number ahead of time to verify the vehicle. But about 50% of the time in this business, there is no VIN number to go off of. So it's not like it's highly unusual or out of the ordinary or something no other reasonable transporter would do. So we acted within normal bounds. You do want to make sure when it's a little sketchy like that you get a signed bill of lading at pickup, because that guarantees that you have legal possession of that vehicle. And when we had such detailed description of the vehicle, it's kind of hard to imagine that you get the wrong one. Now, later on in this conversation, the broker was trying to tell us, well, there was 4 identical vehicles at that dealership, and we should have verified the correct one. Well, when the dealer walks out, hands you the keys, and says, this is your vehicle, and the dealer has communicated with the broker, who in this case I believe ended up being the same, and often is, because a lot of dealers use central dispatch without going through a broker. The numbers matched, so I'm pretty sure broker and dealer were the same person, which means it was their job to give you the correct vehicle because they knew where it was supposed to go. But if it hadn't been for our experience in this business, it would have been very easy to react out of fear or lack of knowledge and make a decision that cost the driver a lot of money and a lot of time. 1,000 miles is a long ways to go to deliver that vehicle and turn around and come back, especially if you don't find anything else on that route. Not to mention the possibility of losing the load that was already booked in the Denver area to be picked up. So we were able to use our expertise in the industry to resolve the issue in the correct manner. No negative ratings, which technically he couldn't have levied against this driver anyway because he hadn't dispatched it through Central. So since we hadn't, quote, done business together on the Central Dispatch platform, it would have been a bogus negative rating, and I think it would have been removed just from that. But we made sure to screenshot all the text messages, save every bit of the communication we had. We made sure that it was all done digitally, no phone calls. Even though the broker tried that, we declined the calls and let them know that everything had to be done in writing to protect ourselves, because in the event that they did try to levy a negative rating or turn it into a legal matter, which he had threatened, we would have been able to show that we unquestionably did have legal possession of that vehicle and that we had in fact taken it to where we were supposed to take it. So I believe that once we let the broker know that the Colorado Highway Patrol was very interested in who was impersonating them, and that we had legal possession of the vehicle, despite all of their vulgar language and threats, they realized it was in their best interest to settle the issue quickly and move on. So technical support is one of the things that my dispatch company offers. It goes far above and beyond the standard dispatch, just simply finding you a load. Because as a new driver, finding you a load is extremely important. Finding you a load that fits on your trailer is important. Finding you a load that's legal for the route you're running and the truck you're driving is extremely important. Understanding how to do that is important. But more important than that is knowing how to answer and resolve these little issues, or in this case, kind of a big issue when it comes up. Fortunately, it's not every day, but it only takes once to cause you a lot of trouble, especially if you're a new company and you get a negative rating over something like this that you don't quite know how to resolve. That negative rating can cost you so much business that it's nearly impossible to survive that first 3 to 6 months it takes you to get into the business, to get enough positive ratings that most brokers will dispatch to you. So if you're looking for a good dispatch company, somebody that doesn't necessarily have all the answers, I'm not saying we do, but we have been in the business for a while. We have resolved a lot of issues, and that's one of the services that we provide that goes above and beyond what most other dispatch services are capable of providing. We also provide hands-on training. If you're brand new, you bring your truck and trailer to us, and we will provide an experienced over-the-road car hauler that can give you some direct hands-on training, securement, load positioning, weight distribution, weight management, over height, over length resolution issues, answer whatever questions you have, provide you with some documentation that will be extremely helpful to you once you get out on the road, help you avoid tickets by knowing what length you can be in what states, how much overhang you can have and where, if any. Just a lot of little things. Like I said before, nothing complicated at all, just a lot of little information, like putting a large jigsaw puzzle together. There's just a lot of little pieces, and if you don't know where to find those pieces, if you don't know the answers, it gets really, really expensive. We found that on average, our dispatchers produce about twice the additional revenue to a truck than it costs you to hire that dispatcher. So that's a win-win all the way around, because not only are you making more money, you are dealing with a lot less stress, because you don't have to deal with the brokers all day long. You just deal with your customer and driving. So anyway, guys, just wanted to share that with you, and just want to say how proud I am of my dispatchers. They do a fantastic job. This particular dispatcher went above and beyond, spent hours dealing with this issue that isn't really dispatching, it's problem solving, but he stuck with it and did a fantastic job resolving it. So You guys keep the greasy side down and keep between the lines. Until next time.